Okay, this is Sean Partridge coming at you live. We're looking at a 2-minute chart of FLIR. I'm going to go ahead and take a short position here at 25.84 and put a stop loss at 26. And we've got FLIR that's been in a bearish trend all day. It's been basing right at the lower portion of the day's range, and it's just starting to break down from this consolidation. There's no real support over here. Once it clears these lows, it's also got a bearish daily chart, and we're starting to see some deterioration in the NASDAQ market. So there is some downward pressure on the futures, which will add to the downward pressure in FLIR. So here we go. Prices are now starting to clear the support. Let's clear the day's low and see momentum increase. And now we'll just sit back and watch and see what happens here. Okay, here we go. And finally, the day's low is being taken out. Momentum is starting to increase here to the downside. So we'll see if we can get a nice move out of this. The only support from here on this in this stock is the market itself, where the market is into an area of support. That's the only thing that can stabilize this stock. Other than that, there is nothing over to the left that's going to be acting as any type of support. So breaking down below this low, every buyer of today in this stock FLIR is in a losing position. Anybody who has been entering along this stock is now losing. So that's a lot of pain that they're experiencing, and that's what's going to put the downward pressure on this instrument to continue to move lower. Okay, we've got the futures moving down nicely, which is adding to the pressure on this stock continuing to decline. Here we go, nice drop here. Okay, now here we are with FLIR, just making another new low on the day here. We now have this new resistance area that's been created, so I can go ahead and move my stop down to just above that area. So at about 25.89 or so. And as long as the price action continues bearish, we'll just continue to trail the resistance areas down until we reach a point at where this begins to get exhausted to the downside and take our profit. Alright, now we have FLIR showing us a little bit of relative strength against the futures. See, the futures are continuing to push lower over the past several minutes, and FLIR is starting to base here. There is plenty of resistance above, but I'm going to take my profit in a moment here if this here doesn't start moving down pretty quickly. I want this low here to be taken out. As the futures continue to sell off, the odds increase that we're going to see them retrace back up again, and considering the relative strength that FLIR has shown against the futures, when the futures do retrace back up, we'll likely see FLIR bounce back up. And this trade has just taken so much time and tying up my money for so long in my screen space here that I just don't want to give it the rest of the afternoon. There are other opportunities. We've already got some profit in the bag, so if it can't get moving to the downside, if it starts to retrace back up a little bit here, I'm going to go ahead and lock in my profit and move on. All right, now we're taking out these lows here. I want to see this start to increase in momentum to the downside here. Start selling off, and let's get below this low at 1356. Then I'm willing to continue to hold on for a little bit longer here. You can see we do have the futures now beginning to retrace, and this is showing relative weakness against those futures. So it's taking a lot of time, but it is still suggesting lower where this can't retrace back up at all with the futures. That is a good indication that we're going to see it continue to move lower, so I'm going to hold on to it for just a little bit longer and see what happens. I am ready to let it go. If I do start to see some buyers coming in, right about 64, give me at least a solid 20 cents on it. If it starts pushing back up to about 64, I'll likely close my position somewhere in there. Okay, I'm going to take this off the table here at 64. Give me 20 cents, a solid 20 cents in profit. And that's it for this trade here. This is Sean Partridge coming at you live on Wednesday, December 10th.